The last one that I have, it's deep working in isolation for some months or having weekly routine meetings with international teams.
Well, what's more aligned with the Bushido Bitcoin is probably the deep work, which I think is lost these days. I think people are not doing much deep work anymore. Everyone's doing surface level, shallow, busy work. And it shows in the quality of the stuff in the world today, unfortunately.
Makes sense. Yeah, I think
Good
the
questions.
deepness.
Good question.
Cool. Well, Alex, thanks a lot for the quick firing. And now I will just ask some of the questions that I have from the audience. I shared your profile with some of them, and then they send me some questions. The first one it's from Anne Hay. She's asking, "What's your favorite country for deep work and creative focus?" So it links very well with the last one.
Yeah, very much. For deep work, you want to be as secluded as possible. So then, in terms of which country, I have done incredible deep work in the Italian Alps, actually, in the north of Italy. So, like the Dolomites region, stuff like that.
Mm.
Um, Also in the mountains in Brazil, or in like a Bariloche or a Patagonia or something like that. So I think the countries can vary. I think it's more the terrain, and for me, like mountains is a much better terrain for deep work than beach or like city or any of that sort of stuff, because like as you know, you just get sucked into these things. So if you want to do deep work,
Mm.
disconnect, and I think go find the mountains and be in a more cold environment. If you want to do deep work, there's something about temperature and isolation that can get you into the zone.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think it it is the best environment. I also agree
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
mountains there. I have one from Dimitri Z. He's asking, how do you handle friendships and dating while constantly moving around?
Well, I no longer handle dating, obviously, being married. But when I did, when I was traveling, now I was in a when I did my nomad journey, it was a very unique period of time in human history, which was lockdowns, right? So
Mm.
like everything was retarded, the whole world was upside down. You couldn't meet people out in person because everybody was hiding behind a mask or like staying at home and stuff like that. So during that period, I was using the dating apps. That's because that was the only way. Um, had I, if I was in a nomad travel dating sort of situation now, I don't think I'd use the dating apps. I think the dating apps have turned into a shit show and everything is too hard on there now, at least from what I can tell everyone that I speak to. So my gut feeling is that if I was to be dating, I'd be trying to find and encounter people like we did in the old school days. Like go to where the fish are and go to where you are more likely to find people with similar values. So if you're like into health and stuff like that, don't go looking for dating opportunities at the club. It's probably not going to be the right person. Like maybe go and find like a run club, or go to like the sauna, to the hot cold plunge or something like that, to the gym or to the health club or something
Mm.
like that. So that would be my advice from a dating perspective. Then from a friendships perspective, this one is more challenging. The older I get, the more I realize that what friendship is really about is two things. It's time together and struggle together. Like, because create like going through a period of struggle with someone, like going through an ordeal, deepens the bonds very
Mm.
much. And we've kind of lost that these days, particularly because everyone is so afraid of struggle, everyone's so afraid of pain, everyone's so afraid of like doing the hard things. People don't have that shared bond, that shared journey, right? You see these stories of like people who've been on like this rough journey together, like, and they sort of know the worst parts of each other, and when they know the worst parts of each other, it like deepens the friendship. So to answer the friendship component of the question is like, how what can you do that is either an adventure or a mission or an ordeal or something like that, which requires both in-person time and requires like challenging your character or your soul in a particular way, um, in order to deepen some bonds. And that's where you'll actually build friendships, not acquaintances. Because people have, these days, people think their fucking Facebook friends or their Instagram friends are their friends. It's not a friend, that's an acquaintance. Like a friend is someone who has your back and that you have their back, and there's some like depth there. So I think we need to find a way in life to create the conditions for that to occur. And I think that takes a lot of effort and energy, which people are not willing to spend, unfortunately, these days.
Nice. You thought about this one?
I thought about this a lot when I was writing the book. Yeah.
Right, makes sense. Okay, the last one that I have, it's from Ali Saha, and he is asking, how do you decide, if you would need to decide where to go as a digital nomad? What is your main criteria?
So my criteria is usually very simple. Is there an awesome gym? Can I get like organic food and like meat, stuff like that, so that I can cook? And the kind of like the terrain. Is there a beach? Like what am I looking for? Because if I'm looking more to like enjoy, relax, get some sunshine, and be social, I'll probably go somewhere like a Florianopolis or something like that, or southern Italy or whatever. If I want to do some deep work, I still look for the gym or and that other stuff like access to food, but then I'll change the terrain as the variable. But always the constant is a gym, kind of like health center, and then good quality food. That's usually the triangle for me.
It's interesting because it's bringing a routine into traveling around, which is
Yeah.
something that I value a lot. Like things that I do. I mean, I moved here to Italy 6 months ago. Before I was in Greece. Before that, I was in Germany, and the way of staying healthy and also in not losing my mind was grabbing the hobbies that I had from one country to another and reproducing them,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
works. It's also a way of connecting with locals normally, so
Exactly. Exactly.
that's a good part. Nice. Well, thanks a lot also for responding to to the questions of the audience, and not only my questions. I would say now it will be your time for the stage to talk a little bit more about the Satlantis and what are you doing in the company, what is the objective that you have, and a little bit also where the listeners can follow you, how they can
No
find
worries.
you, and check what you are doing.
No worries. I mean, I guess the best way to do this is like maybe if you've got some questions about the product or what you think we're doing or anything like that. Do you have anything that you'd like me to unpack?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I saw that this comes, and I also already talked with Jordi a little bit about it. I think it's an interesting product, but maybe that the interesting part that I found there is that it's trying to do similar, I would say, what Nomad List was doing, in the sense of like putting ratings or having an idea of preparing yourself or doing the research before you go to a
Hmm.
place, but you are trying to add some kind of social aspect on top of it. As far as can you elaborate a little bit more
Yeah.
how is that going?
Well done. Excellent, excellent sort of initial overview. So I was an early Nomad List user, and I bought the lifetime membership, as we all do, and then I never used it again because it sucked. So I I was always like, I thought this is a good concept. It's just like poorly executed in the sense that, Pete doesn't care about like, building a great product. He cares about, running the numbers, right? That's his MO. And I don't say that in a bad way to judge him. Like that's his MO and that's what he does and he's good at that. For me, I looked at this sort of ingredients. It's like, okay, people want to know where to go. People want to get a community. People want to go to these events. People also want to know on a consistent basis where's the best cafe, the best restaurant, the best gym, the best sauna, the best this, the best that. And I thought about it. I thought, okay, look, we we could combine these elements basically into a super app. Something that is part Nomad List, part Google Maps, part like Luma or Eventbrite, sort of like an event thing,
Mm-hmm.
and wrap it all into effectively a feed. Because the more the world progresses, the more social it becomes. At least the internet is becoming more social. But there's this kind of bifurcation, which is a lot of the internet has become social media, and media is the key word. Where if you look on LinkedIn now, on Twitter, on Instagram, on X, on Facebook, and everything is about clickbait, it's about rage bait, it's about media, it's about engagement, it's about just getting you stuck on the fucking device and just scrolling, right? And
Mm-hmm.
everything is optimized for that. And I don't say that in a way that there's like some grand conspiracy to suck you into your phone. It's just how the incentives work. The way the limbic brain, the way the mind works, is it notices stuff that like media. If you ever heard the saying, "If it bleeds, it leads," right?
Mm-hmm.
Media is the thing that has to capture your attention and suck you in. Now, if you create an algorithm or if you create a feed where your metric that you're measuring is time on screen, then of course the algorithm is going to fundamentally serve more of the stuff that keeps you engaged. And the stuff that keeps you engaged is if it bleeds, it leads. So what's happened with all of this, we used to have social networks. What's happened is all of the social networks have turned into social media. And the more they've turned into social media, the more they've turned into these uh, engagement traps, basically, these
Mm-hmm.
content hellholes, which suck us in. And look, there's some good and there's some bad. You can discover all sorts of cool things, but fucking hell, does it suck up our lives? It burns our dopamine receptors. It turns us into just consumers. It's no longer about connecting, it's about consuming. And I think that starts to become very, very unhealthy. So, what I wanted to do was I said, okay, look, can we take basically what social networks were 10 years ago, which was connection between people, like that's what we do in real life. We have our social networks. We know who we know, and who we know knows someone else, and we are connected to people.
Mm-hmm.
Can we take that social network, that social graph as it's called, and apply it to something other than just content, right? So the first differentiator is the social network. The second differentiator is the application of the social network, or the intelligence of the social network, to something other than content. So for example, if I come to Bologna to visit you, I should be able to open a map or a list of places, restaurants, cafes, gyms, all this sort of stuff. And I should see places that are recommended by my social circle, particularly by the people who I share interests and values with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to, like, when I open up Google Maps, first of all, when I open up Google Maps, I just have every single place in the world. I don't want to see every fucking place in the world. Second, when I look at the reviews or the scores and all that sort of stuff, not only are like half the reviews these days gamed and fake and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff, but ultimately, even if the reviews are real, I don't know that person. I don't know if they have a similar taste to me, similar, like, I don't know. But if I know you and I'm coming to Bologna, your recommendation should weigh the place much more than
Mm-hmm.
somebody else's. So